We can shut this door?
No, I think
Anybody else coming?
Cassandra said she'd be back. Did she leave? The nurse.
She's coming, she's coming.
The nurse. Oh, the nurse today is Cassandra, with a K.
Oh,
Yeah, my dear.
shut it?
Yes, thank you.
No.
You know, I am Dr. Sharma. I have not met all of you. I'm the IC physician here. Cassandra is her nurse taking care. And when Amy came to the ER, I saw her initially, and I'm taking care of her since then. So when she came in, seems like the initial problem was pneumonia due to a bacteria, what we call Legionella. That her pneumonia was bad, like her whole left lung is just like a rock. Her
Right
oxygen-
now, even after
Yeah, it
Dr.
was.
Divine cleaned it up.
Yes, it's still the same.
Okay.
Her oxygen levels were very low, which the low oxygen levels strained her heart. She had a heart attack too, and then her heart stopped. The ER docs did a CPR for her for around 20 minutes, got her pulse back, and then since then she's on the ventilator. Initially, we just rested her, gave the antibiotics, and she was on medications to support her heart. All those medications are off now. The antibiotic what we are giving is going to continue for 14 days total.
14.
14.
So she's still here. What about the MRI then?
So yesterday, so initially we got a CAT scan for her,
Right.
and CAT scan is not a very sensitive study
Right.
to see minor changes in the brain, but the purpose was to rule out anything major, like any big stroke or big bleed, which was negative. Then she got an electroencephalogram EEG study,
Right.
which is like looking at the electric currents of the brain, which showed that her diffusely it was slow. So her cortex was diffusely not working.
Her who?
Her, like cortex is like the superficial part of the brain
Oh, okay.
where we think for memory,
Oh,
for
okay.
all the
You
higher
said it's
functions.
slow.
Yes, the electric current was all low,
Oh, the electric
so it
current
was
was
not. It was working suboptimally.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the MRI which was done yesterday conclusively proves that there are many areas of her brain which has suffered anoxic brain damage. Essentially, because of the low oxygen, these regions have died. It includes her cortex, the cerebellum, which is the center for the balance and coordination for walking.
Well, it was always like that. Okay, I'm clear about that one. Okay.
The deep centers in the deep nuclei in the brain, which sort of are relay centers for taking all the information down from the cerebellum up to the cortex and down, up, down. So it's like small nodes which all the information passes through. Those are also damaged.
Are you talking about that for like motor skills or?
Everything, sensory, motor, language, speech.
But that's right. They're damaged. But if we're still giving her medication for another 14 days, it could possibly heal. Damage doesn't mean destroyed completely, correct? Okay.
Unfortunately, in this condition, damage means almost as recoverable damage.
So you can work on it. So I'm still
I
going to
can't say 100% because,
Okay.
very rarely we do see some improvement in some parts of the brain.
You do?
We do.
Okay.
But it depends how much damage actually happens initially. So we are keeping her off sedation for past 48 hours now. And she has very minimal movements.
That's
That's all.
okay.
Now, the question here is, what would happen next? How is she going to do?
I say you have 14 days to try to figure that out, right? I'm not gonna answer that question right now because if she's still healing, if she came from, you know, the Legion I pneumonia plus another pneumonia, a heart attack, she coded and she's still fighting, I'm fighting with her too. I'll give her that and then we'll see from there.
What's next?
No, I'm not asking that question, we got
No,
2
I'm
weeks.
I'm not talking about what's next, but I'm trying to,
He doesn't know.
I wanna know, that so 14 days,
Well,
14 days. so-
We gotta figure that out.
See, there's no like time frame that after this much days, something will happen at a particular date.
Mhm.
Her kidneys, did shut down, so that's one problem.
Mhm.
Now, what, I can't tell you exactly what will happen to her because I cannot do any guarantees.
Right.
But what I can tell is that 99% of people in her situation, with her clinical exam and her MRI findings, they don't wake up ever. And when I say wake up, means having any meaningful response to environment, to their loved ones, to react in any way. So they are there,
Mhm.
the body is working. She will need a support on the ventilator for a long time, probably forever, with a tracheostomy tube, feeding tube. And that's our best case scenario.
So are you saying that she can possibly, is that like the vegetation state, like where she's?
She is in a
I
vegetation.
thought she was in like a coma, like in a
So-
induced coma, so I'm confused, that's all.
So when the consciousness states for us has like, it's a grayscale, like, you know, it's different phases are there. Like when we are completely awake,
Mhm.
then people can be lethargic, but then they can wake up.
Right.
The next days come when people have response to the environment, like a lot of people do suffer brain damage, but it's focal. Like you get a stroke, right? This hand is not working, or they can't speak. For her, it's like everywhere. So we used to call it vegetative state. Now the correct terminology we call is minimal conscious state,
Minimum conscious.
MCS, minimal conscious state. And then there is deep coma.
And she's in minimum conscious state, she's not in deep coma, but she has
So-
very minimum.
Yes, like what we saw was little flicker on
Right.
her eye. So there is something which is doing.
This is scary. I don't know, I mean,
I'm sorry, Cassandra, I'm like having a bad news here, but Amy will not wake up from this state.
You
She
don't
will
think
be like this forever.
you don't think she's gonna wake up? I need to just put it in. Okay. Well, I don't have any questions right now, I gotta just like kinda absorb this, cause
That's
it's a
fine.
lot of
That's fine.
responsibility, just like life. I gotta,
I agree.
gotta make sure that I'm comfortable with good decisions. But meanwhile, her medication is 14 days, and I have to think about, we have to figure this out, cause we gotta live with this decision.
Yes. Yes. Don't worry about 14 days thing because there is nothing like this. I'm telling you this is how it's going to be. Now,
Right.
you take your time to process this
you.
information, what you want to do with it.
Right,
That's your call.
okay.
So are y'all gonna keep doing what y'all
Yeah,
can
they gonna keep
for the
doing
time until they decide what they wanna do?
it. Yeah. He says no time limit, actually,
Okay.
you're just talking about the medicated sense right there,
But,
you know what I'm saying, but,
yes, but it cannot be forever.
right.
No, yeah, we know that. If she's alive, you can't kill her.
See, the question of, so, you know, we are at this era, unfortunately, that where, you know, the definition of death itself has actually become very disputed.
Mhm.
And I'll try to explain to you why. Because what happens is, usually that means that your heart stops, right? So that happened to her, her heart stopped. But then we did the CPR and the heart starts back. Now in this situation, the death is actually defined by damage to the brain. So if there are certain reflexes, if they are gone, which happens in the brainstem, that's like the most primitive area of the brain which controls your heart rate and your breathing. If those are gone, even with everything else the same, heart beating, every other organ functioning, we still declare people to be dead. Because we know that this area of the brain, once it goes, people are not going to wake up ever. So that's what we define as brain death. She's not brain dead because she has some reflexes from this area, but those are bare minimum which she has. That's all.
But 1% survives it. Is that what you said? You said 99% doesn't? Because she's been fighting since she's been here, so I'm not sure.
Well, he says not a decision making right now anyway.
Take this information, process it.
We have
The
to wait to see
question
the
is-
changes that happens with her.
The question is,
Her.
yes, so there are two ways what I can tell you how usually you, like, you know, what should be your guidance. One is her wishes. So if ever during your discussions with her, some people do not want to be in a bed-bound persistive, this kind of a state, been on a ventilator, feeding tubes. Some people say they have obvious wishes, like advance directives, right? They put a living will, or they talk to people that I do not want to be in that situation. So did she ever had any kind of discussion with anybody among you?
No. And I wish we did, but we never thought she would be like this at 66. So no, and that's the thing, that's what I gotta figure this out, because I don't know what her wishes will be. I don't see that I can see her wanting to be in a bed, you know, living off a ventilation tube and feeding tube, so I understand that part. And I'm hoping that I get something else in the meantime while we're still trying to figure this out. Like from her, while I'm trying to figure out what is proper.
And I understand that you are hoping for some improvement for her. But at the same time, you should also think about the situation, that if there is no improvement, the kind of life she will have,
I understand
is that acceptable to you and the family?
No, I know, I understand what you're saying, and that's what I'm just saying, I just need to figure it out, one, from her side, and two, from this side here.
Absolutely.
So, any questions? Daddy, any questions? You all right?
I just read it through my head. I'm all right. What I know me is like, I just like, I don't think she should be laid up in your house forever in the middle there.
No, I'm here, I'm not gonna come back, I just need to
Yeah.
figure this
Yeah.
out.
That's my only concern, because I know she wouldn't want that.
That's her ex-husband.
Okay.
Okay, Dad, I hear you.
Now, given the kidney problem, if you want to get some time to think about it, in a day or two, we might have to start supporting her with dialysis because her kidneys are not going to recover
I
from
think
this.
she's really sick.
And I would not recommend
The dialysis.
starting dialysis if we know that
She's not going to
her
survive.
quality of life is not going to be good.
Mhm.
That's where we are.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon. We'll talk over the weekend and I'll have some
Absolutely.
more clarity by Monday,
Absolutely.
okay?
Any other way I can help you? Any questions, concerns for now? I'm here over the weekend if you think of something, anything you want to discuss. Divine will be here Monday.
You have a divine deliverance. I like you, don't dismiss me.
Everybody is different.
Mhm.
She will be here Monday,
Okay.
and then you can talk to her more if you want to.
Any questions? All right, I think we're done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.